All right, we're live. Who all's in the house tonight? Thumper was in here earlier. Spencer's Food Reviews, Irish Outlaw, Rabbit Transit, Dart Sport, Auto Salvage Outlaws, Pure Pontiac Garage, Buff's Garage, Dart Sport. Yeah, let me kill that YouTube browser. It was making noise. There we go. Sorry about that. Sometimes I leave two of them open because I got a link pinned over there.
I did that the other night when I was live with Dalton and everybody, and I was the one that couldn't.
I've tried to get better about it. I've tried to get better about it. But still happens. This is not a big deal. Turbo Tom's in here calling 2 hacks. Well, guys, I know it's kind of unusual that I would put up a spontaneous live on a Thursday, but I see a community post from our friend Punisher Lamont's Garage saying that he was really close to 1,000 subscribers. He was at 983 this afternoon, and I thought, you know what? I think we can get him over 1,000 tonight. So if you guys are not familiar with Punisher Lamont's Garage, Ray here won People's Choice at the No Name Nationals with his Turbo LS Le Mans. And yes, there you go, right there.
I keep it handy.
He keeps it on the dash, keeps it on the windshield. But yeah, he kind of sneaked in there and did some business. Unfortunately, had a broken transmission, shortened his racing day. But you know, he's a guy that deserves, I think, to have more viewers on his channel. He came up through the ranks of the No Name 500 pretty quickly, and now he's already knocking on the door of 1,000. So I just thought we would go live and chat a little bit, and anybody who's not familiar with your channel might get an opportunity to check you out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's a lot of shorts on there, but there is some content, and there's going to be some good content coming up pretty soon. I got some collaboration stuff coming up too. So
that Le Mans is quick too. I mean, I'm not telling anything, you know, that I shouldn't, because he's put it on his community post. I think he's running best of what, 6:59 in the 8th.
Yeah.
That car's quick. So
yeah,
there's a lot of good content over there. Check it out.
It's been 149 in the 65th, and it's going to be even faster for the next No Name Nationals.
Wow.
There's a certain matte black Dodge Duster that I'm gunning for.
Really?
But I want to do it on drag radials.
Okay.
I'm setting my goals high, but you know.
So which Duster are we talking about here? Is this the one that Steve Magnanti thinks is cool?
It's Red Beard Racing.
Ooh, man. Really? Well, you don't just take off a bite. You take off a plateful.
Hey, they always say if you're going to go for the biggest guy, you know.
Man, you're that guy that they say, yeah, so in prison, go up and punch the biggest guy on the first day. That's kind of what you're doing there.
Yeah. His car's legit. It is.
Yeah, it is.
And Nivlak's car was legit. That Nova was legit. I would love to have seen that Nova and that Dart go head to head.
Yeah, they have a really narrow, fickle window of because those cars run on the ragged edge. And he said if he'd had 2 more passes, he'd have had that track. He'd have had it all straightened out. But you know, it's just one of those things. I mean, just didn't play out. I mean, if we hadn't had the delay on Friday with the traction compound, you know, if this and if that. But those are quick cars. I expect they'll be back and really throwing down some numbers. So
I'm hoping to be knocking on the high 5s or 6.0s in the 8th.
Wow.
So
wow. Are you going to run 28-10-5?
Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah, everybody's going to up the ante over there. I see Rick sneaked in here. Dean Stevenson. Landon's in here. Oh, there's B&R. He says you have to lose the road race suspension to take on Redbeard. Well, you know what? I think he's going to do all kinds of good stuff. I think that he ought to call out a white 70 Trans Am. That's what I think.
Hey, I'm down. I'll tell you, it's Bad Tree's fault that I broke my car. If I wouldn't have lined up with the Nacho Kedig right off the bat, I would have made an easy pass A to B. But no, I had to get up next to the Nacho Kedig, and I'm like, I'm not losing. Well, I
Right.
lost and I broke my car, so
You had to get next to one that was going to make you work for it.
right. I, you know, I should have raced Buck or somebody right off the bat.
Now here's Streetcar Chronicles with another guy who, he might have a chance there with Honcho. He's in that area you're talking about.
That car's legit. I
Yeah, it is.
And I think if James and James gang come, they're going to be bringing their A game too. I think there's going to be some heavy hitters next time.
I think it's going to take a really quick car to win 28-10-5 next year. And I think it's going to take a quick car to go to the second round. That's class is going to be really stout.
Well, I'm coming with an automatic, a TH400 and a trans brake. And I mean, I'm not playing around this time.
Oh, B&R wants you to go to a manual transmission.
Really? To run a manual transmission, I would need to spend $5,000 on a, transmission. I'm not doing that.
10 on a Lenco. 10 on a Lenco, you'll spend a pile on a Jericho. But even then, it's just for what you're doing at those kind of speeds, automatic's going to be a better deal.
Right. And the way I'm setting it up is because I'm going to keep my 5-speed. It's awesome for street driving.
Yeah.
Or if I want to go do some road race or, whatever. Yeah. But I'm going to have it so I can switch back and forth between an automatic and a manual. My car is simple. I can have my transmission out in about 45 minutes.
So you're just going to make it modular.
Yeah.
Are you going to make the floor with Zeus fasteners or something? Or are you just going to, because I have seen guys that do it that way.
Well, if I just leave the hole for the transmission, and then I'll have a bracket where I can just bolt the shifter mount on. So it's, it's an easy deal.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And then you can just have a pedal that just sits on the floor. There's a lot of ways you could do that to make them swap back and forth quickly.
Yeah. And I'm hoping to bring a burnout car next year too. That looked fun. I don't want to do it in this car because I have this fear of, catastrophic failure and,
Right. Yeah, I expect the burnout competition to be big and healthy next year. How many horsepower does Redbeard have? My goodness, it's a 540. I'm sure he's making $1,000 and more.
Yeah, it's at least 1,000. Is he running on methanol or is that alcohol?
Yeah, I believe he's running methanol. Well, no, I actually think he's running E85.
Is he?
I think so.
I'm just saying that matte black Dodge. That matte black Dodge Dart and this Punisher Le Mans would look pretty legit going down the track together.
I'll tell you what, I think it'd be great. Wish you well, because he's got a quick car, and it's only going to be quicker next year.
Oh yeah, and his is a full gutted race car too. But I just figure if I'm going to, set my bar high, I'm going the highest I can.
He's also, I think that car's got 4-second potential in it.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I can see that. So we'll see.
But he's got to do it on a 28-10-5.
He does. Yeah, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right. You watch these. You watch these. Like, what are they? 10-5 grudge races. These guys like Big Chief and Murder Nova bolting on a 10-5 on their car.
The first couple seasons of that, I thought it was really cool, and then it was, very obviously production. So. Right.
Yeah, but I've been at some no prep events that Sean and forget his name, Murder No or the Crow, and their cars look hilariously funny with the 28-10-5 under the back of it. I'm just gonna say
they do, because they're made for big tires. Well, as B&R wouldn't say need money for a second converter, the first is never right. Well, get your torque converter from Mike Iben at Top Line Converter, and then he'll reflash it for you once you put it in the car, and then guess what? You're in business.
I went through that with my automatic in my car. I figured out real quick that the key to going fast with an automatic starts with your converter for your setup.
Yep.
You need to call a reputable converter guy and tell them, hey, look, I have the turbo car. My car weighs this. This is my gear. This is what I want to do with it. And if it's not right, they'll reflash it for you. So you sound like you're a little plugged up there, Mr. John.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm reading the comments over here. B&R suggesting unless a Neil Chance or a Hughes bolt together, modify yourself with help calling. I would never do that. I mean, I get what you're saying, but one of the things that Iben told me is that it's easy to make one sloppy and loose to get to stall. He said that the tricky part is making one that's efficient up on top end. So try to get the stall with having tight enough tolerances that you're not giving up a whole bunch of power on the top end all the way through the lights. And so he prides himself on making his really nice and efficient so that you can get the stall, but it doesn't give away all your power going down the track. And, Joe with his converter, 722 all day long with that converter. I mean, they're consistent. He just does a good job. And he's right here in our community. You'll see him pop in from time to time. Look at that. You're at 989. Well, no, I'm talking about Mike Iben, Top Line Converter. He builds converters.
Oh, okay.
Now,
okay.
Yeah, if you need anything behind the converter, then you talk to Cope.
Is he just a Mopar guy, or does he do everything?
All he does is torque flights. He has done everything. He's built a lot of other stuff over the years because he's worked at dealerships and stuff like that. But torque flights are just what he does now. Torque flights and the 46, 47, 48 RE, the overdrive stuff, 3-speed torque flights. That's what he does.
Yeah. Maybe he can build Perpetual Projects one.
It's interesting you say that. You'll see something for Perpetual Projects here show up soon.
Good.
Check that out on his channel.
That's what I like. I'm on my phone, so I can't see the comments.
You can, if you trust that you're in frame, which you are, and you're perfectly framed in, you can just switch to comments and read them.
Oh, okay. I see that.
You won't be able to see me, but you don't need to see me or yourself. You're in frame.
Let's see.
Two Hacks is in the house.
Yeah, I think Jeff's probably going to bring something pretty legit next year too.
Oh yeah. I think he'll bring something legit in addition to his legit T-Bird.
Man, that T-Bird, I'm just going to tell you that I've always thought that body style T-Bird was one of the ugliest ones out there. And then he built that one. He made it
work. I know. Well, but there's a lot of things like that we don't really give them the look they deserve until somebody does something really cool with them.
Right.
I see Sam is in the house. B&R says, I can't beat Redbeard. Well, you know what? There's not many people here who can.
I can't beat Redbeard either, but I'm going to go in swinging.
Fun fact, though, you beat 0% of the people you never try to race.
Yeah. Hey, it's
Slant Daily Garage is here.
Hey, it's TRP, the winner of the No Name Nationals.
Roland's one of those guys that just sneaked in and shocked us all. But he's one of these guys that these guys that had these small channels that was legit, and just when the community drove him to get his subs, he was, as with you, had all these guys out there in their shops doing cool, legit stuff, We just didn't know about them until, we had a reason to get everybody together on the same page.
Right. And I hadn't even ever, oh, who's this guy? Bad Tree Productions.
Hey, there we go. There's Blake in the house. I see JB says, why do I do a live every time he's doing a video? Because JB, you must do your videos on Friday usually. But today I saw where Ray was knocking on the door of 1,000 subscribers. And I thought, well, you know what? If there's a few people out there who are not yet subscribed to Punisher Lamont's Garage, let's put up a link and see if we can get him over 1,000 tonight. He certainly deserves it.
I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've earned it.
Hey, there's my partner in crime, Buff.
There's Buff. There's Lars.
RC Industries.
Professor P at Slant Daily Garage just subscribed.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
RC Industry. Yeah, where are you now? You're going to be in fewer than 10 to go now, probably. Let's see. That page refresh, and we'll find out where you are now. 990.
Woo.
Nice.
Man, I tell you, when I started this in March, I was like, I doubt I'll ever hit the 500. Then after I got the 500, now it's like, well, let's go for 1,000. And I didn't. It's been a challenge, but it's going.
But the second half, but to get from 500 to 1,000 came much quicker than from 0 to 500, right?
Right, definitely.
That's what people don't realize, yeah. So Roy Boy's asking you, does Punisher have a Mopar? I'll let you answer that. I'll be right.
No, if I found the right one, I would. I'd have to open up a deep pocketbook. But no, I have a Pontiac, old Le Mans.
So the question is, if you had a Mopar, what would you have?
I want a 70 CUDA.
Okay.
Or my dream Mopar would be a Plum Crazy Purple AAR CUDA.
What engine?
346 pack would be fine with me.
I was hoping you'd say LS just to make the chat go crazy.
No, I'm just now that Cam Racing has a little Dodge that has an LS in it, and he snuck it into Moparty.
Yeah, I applaud that.
It was
I mean, well, if you're going to let those Fiat Dodge Darts into a Mopar show, why not? I don't consider the modern stuff to be Mopars either.
I'm the kind of guy that I don't really care what's in it. If it's cool and it's not sitting in the backyard weeds, then I'm good with it.
B&R wants to know what you're making naturally aspirated.
I saw that. He's pretty close, actually. It makes right at around 420 NA.
That's probably around what he's making. Something like that. It might be a good race.
And it's fun to drive NA, and I would probably think it was fast if I never would have had it turboed.
I totally agree. Jeff is saying that B&R should you and B&R should race. I mean, after all, they're both quick street cars, right?
Right. Hey, I'm down. If B&R wants to do it, let's do it.
That's right, B&R. You want some action. You want some street action and to where the real drivers are. Well, here you go.
And if he wants low boost, I'll take my wastegate spring out.
There you go. Ray's filling your order, man.
I'll race anybody. I don't care. Unless I'm not. I'm never lining up against Nacho Cuda again. He broke my car.
Yeah, JB wants to see the B&R race. Yeah, I do too.
Well, let's do it, B&R.
Why don't you spot him a length or two?
Yeah. Maybe. I'd have to see his setup before I made any commitments.
Take a chance. Yeah, he wants to do drag radials that switch to street tires.
My car's on street tires right now. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brian, what do you want to put on it? You want to put a bet on it? Jeff beat me to it. Jeff's already got $100 on it. Oh, look at this. So Roland here, he's making an NA trophy for next year, doing an NA call out. Cool. Well, we actually had a lot of channels doing trophies of their own imagination. And that's great. I just think it's cool. It just shows how cool our community is. You wouldn't see it anywhere else. It was great.
I thought that was real cool, and I've watched that awards part where they handed them out a bunch of times, and everybody, bringing trophies out of the crowd. That was cool.
It's just there was so many things different about that event that were so great. And what was great about it, it's nothing we did. We administrated. What I'm talking about is all of you guys in the aggregate is what was so great. Everybody at the awards was there for each other. It just wasn't like a normal awards thing. It was just so cool. It was an extension of the party. It was a chance when everybody at one time left their pit spaces to come be together. You just don't see that in anything else, Right. Nobody was streaming out. Like, did you notice at awards, nobody was streaming out of there during the awards? I mean, we had a few people that had reasons they had to take off, like family emergencies and such, but there weren't people just leaving. No, they were sticking around. They wanted to go to the awards to be there for their friends and continue cooking out and everything else. That's the stuff that just doesn't happen anywhere else. But yes, even the drunk guy. Yes, indeed. This is why I thought we should do the stage and why we will do something like that for next year, because we can't do that again. You're at 992, 8 to go. This is the point where if you have any friends, especially Pontiac friends, and you're like, hey, are you familiar with Punisher Le Mans Garage? This is where you text them the link. Just say one click for some really cool stuff. Check it out. And as always, I never tell anybody, hey, you should subscribe to this channel. No, go over there and see if they earn your sub. And I'm confident that he'll have a much better than average chance of earning your sub because he's a good channel.
Shopcat? How many Shopcat?
Yeah, where are you? Where are you, Shopcat, on your count?
So
PR says I might put a fogger on. You better do something, man. There's not going to be a gimme.
No, I take no prisoners.
Oh, look at this. So Roy Boy there says that Jeff Jr., I assume he means Jeff 2, which would be 2X Jeff, is a closet Pontiac guy.
Well, he might be. They do have a pretty.
I actually like Volkswagens. That's my weird closet car that I like is the Volkswagen, the air-cooled stuff.
Believe it or not, me too. I had a 58 split oval Bug when I lived in Phoenix, and I sold it when I moved. I've had
58, huh?
Yeah, I wish I had it now. I could probably retire.
You know what? You don't meet many people that can look at Beetles and tell exactly what year they are because they made so few changes. But I actually can. I can tell you pretty much what year any of them are, all the way from World War II or before, all the way into the run. I just really like those cars.
You know what? I know a lot of car guys who badass cars, muscle cars, but they have a soft spot for Volkswagens.
They're just great cars. They also deserve a big place in history. They deserve our respect. I mean, what those cars did for Germany is what the Model T Ford did for America. That was their Model T Ford.
Yeah.
A lot of
The
people don't
people's
realize
car.
too the Volkswagen Beetle. Well, right. I mean, and everybody is scared to death of saying anything they think results in politics, which stifles non-political speech like crazy. But Hitler is the one that commissioned that. So forget about all the other stuff Hitler did. Just for a minute, just pretend for a minute this was before he went out of his mind. He commissioned that car. He went to Ferdinand Porsche, who of course is known for the Porsche, right? And said, "I want to make a car for this much money." And the idea was that you could deduct it automatically from uh, the factory workers' pay. And they had stamp, and I have one. And if I had any idea this crazy topic would come up tonight, I would get it and show it. I have an actual German stamp book, a savings stamp, like a green stamp book for a new Volkswagen Beetle with stamps in it that are canceled. Some factory worker had that book, and he got stamps, or he or she got stamps in it each paycheck to pay off his bug, and it's not full. So to my knowledge, nobody actually finished the program and got their Beetle because the factory got bombed and they lost the war. And I don't think anybody actually redeemed it, but that was the idea.
Well, that's really cool, actually.
I have a book, and you know what? You know what? Now that you say it, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a live topic on Volkswagens. How weird is that, right? I'm
Hey,
going
I'll
to
be
do
in
one.
there on that.
I've got some cool Volkswagen stuff, some show and tell, like the stamp book and some other stuff, and that's what we'll do. We'll do a Volkswagen Live. Punisher's at 996. Look at that. Wow.
Close.
No Parals in the house. How you doing, man? Colleen's asking, what about the VW thing? The VW thing is cool. They're really cool. It's the thing is the slang for it. It's actually called the Safari. Uh, and that body type is the civilian version of what's called the Schwimmwagen, which was an amphibious vehicle that they used in World War II. And they made it's kind of a cross between that, and they actually had a convertible open top version of the Beetle. It's kind of like a cross between the two. And you don't see them often at all. They got really, really rusty, and VW night. I'm busy that night. Yeah, hey man, whatever floats your boat. I think they're cool.
But it's got to be the air cooled Volkswagen.
Yes.
They don't do nothing for me after that.
Oh yeah. So once we get past that, but you guys might want to spruce up on your Volkswagen stuff. Who knows? We might even do Volkswagen trivia. We don't, who knows? So that could be interesting.
I had a sandrail I built a stroker motor for. You remember they used to have the Volkswagen magazines. You'd thumb through it and you could order all the parts.
That's right.
I built a stroker motor for it. It had, what was it, like 2380 or something weird.
Yeah.
Man, that thing was wicked though. And bus transmission. Unfortunately, there was a lot of buses bastardized for the transmission that are worth a lot of money now.
I see that Punisher Le Mans is at 997. So, again, drop out a text to your friends and say, hey, if you haven't checked out this cool channel, check him out. So the bus transmission. So you like those reduction boxes that raise it a few inches and give you 25% underdrive on the gear?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy who is down the road from me about 20 miles who had, oh, look at that. Slant Daily's reporting 999. So looks to me like you're a subscriber away.
Oh man, this is getting exciting.
It is getting exciting. There's a guy about 20 miles down the road. There we go, 1K. And I'll do it this way for you.
Oh man, that's awesome.
1K.
That's awesome.
There's a guy down the road from me that has the world's largest collection, indisputably, of Vanagons, the water-cooled successor to the air-cooled Type 2 bus.
Yeah.
And this guy had I bet 20 years ago he had 300 and some.
Holy crap.
And now I don't know what he's doing with them all. He keeps moving them around. Like I'll see 4 or 5 of them on a car train or going somewhere. I think he's trying to get out of town limits or something, but I don't know where the stash is going. But I went by there and I asked, I said, hey, I said, I've been looking at this place for years. I said, do you care if I did some content on it for YouTube? She says, no, I don't think so. There's plenty of stuff online about it. I'm thinking, you say you're running a business here, but I never see anything with these things getting collected. But anyway, but I think it'd be neat to tour. He's got to have some rare stuff if you got that many. And yes, Muscle Knowledge is reminding us to go over to the Pontiac Power Hour tonight, and this live stream will redirect to that. So if we're still hanging out at that time, it'll just automatically redirect. But we've already got the thing. So
the Pontiac people will be happy to know there's not going to be any LS talk tonight. I got some emails from people. I was like, all right, I get it.
Yeah, I look at it as a distilling process. If they can't handle that, then they're not going to handle any of the better stuff to come anyway.
Hey, it was my guest anyway. It was Austin. I didn't do it.
Yeah, I never worry about that. People who leave your channel for dumb reasons, it's just a distilling thing. Dean said he did it without Dakota's help. Yeah. Patrick, look at Dumax down there. Yeah, Lars will be over there.
Awesome.
Patrick saying congratulations on 1,000. There you go.
Thank you, sir. Patrick's got a car I love, actually. I love his car.
Yeah, it is cool, isn't it? And he drives it on the street.
That car went round for round consistently and didn't break.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not for lack of trying because he likes to break things,
Well, I mean, I don't like to. It just happens. Thank you, Bubba.
Not their cars shouldn't be their concern. That's Jeff's opinion. Speaking of that, I'm going to talk about exactly the opposite. Someone else's car that I think is my concern. How you like that? Yeah. I had sent this to, let's see if I can find it here. I was telling John Cope about this. He didn't know this, and I don't know why, because he'd seen the same thing I did, but I don't know how he managed to not pick this up. When Travis Bell found the very first General Lee, he scavenged it for parts. He put the parts on this car and then scrapped Lee 1's original shell.
Oh, my.
So the first General Lee does not exist anymore. But this car has had its VIN number. It's had Lee 1's VIN number put on it and a bunch of Lee 1's parts. So Lee 1 doesn't exist anymore. And I'm sure he does not want anybody to know what happened. I'm sure they tried to destroy the shell as fast as they could so that somebody wouldn't get it, find the VIN number on the frame and say, here's the real Lee 1, because that would make the one that would make this car they built with Lee 1's parts much less valuable.
See, I do not like that. There's people, there was a shop that was building Eleanor lookalikes, and they was doing VIN swaps on Mustangs, and they got caught.
No, you know what? I'm off. Tribute cars are fine, clones are fine, but that whole rebodying it and pretending like it's the other car is not okay.
Right. Well,
that's fraud.
The only difference between a Le Mans and a GTO is a 242 code. From the doors back, they're identical. So, I mean, I don't get that. Saying you have, I have a real Judge, and no, you took the VIN number off of a rusty one or wrecked one and put it on your Le Mans.
There is a lot of that going on now, and it's much worse than I thought. It's bad enough that I think that people need to get much more savvy in how they authenticate the cars they're buying.
Right.
And it's not that, and again, it's not that, somebody should say, oh, well, I'm only seeking this out if it's a real deal car. Well, they can if they want to, but I don't think that people should you know, pay a real deal price for a car that's not the real deal. That's just my opinion. I mean, when he was done with this, what Bill actually said is that people got mad because it's a different car. He didn't say it that way, but he said it's got a bunch of Lee One's parts. It has the engine and transmission from Lee One, and it's all 1969 sheet metal. Well, it's still a different car.
Right.
I mean, what you should say is this car has General Lee One's engine and transmission. That's cool. That's fine. But, call it what it is and not what it's not. Anyway, I didn't want to get off on that, but it's just that kind of stuff it just irritates me that people do that.
Oh,
It's
happens
like
a lot.
you can see in that video where Bad Tree Blake, they went to look at that Duster. Now, I don't know if that Duster, I have no idea. I wasn't there. So that dude with the Duster, if you're watching this, I'm not talking about you, but when you walk up and a car has a dash that's replaced, you say, oh, well, here you go. You literally just hand a dude a title and a VIN tag, a title from some other state. Okay. But it's got a VIN tag that's just been drilled off and removed here. Man, that's fishy. Like, that's just not, that just reeks of, I sell VINs that just happen to come with parts.
I watched a YouTube video. God, I don't remember who it was. He's a fairly big YouTuber. He bought a Dodge Daytona that turned out to not be a Dodge Daytona.
Yeah.
Same thing. It was a VIN swap, and so he bought a Charger.
That's right. Charger. And I'm okay with clones. It's just that people should call them what they are. Yeah, like I wouldn't at all mind building an A12 clone, but I wouldn't tell anybody that it's a real A12 car.
Yeah. And it's hard to tell sometimes. I mean,
yeah, oh yeah. You could make the right person could make a clone that would be really hard. You'd be hard pressed to prove that it's not real.
Yeah.
But we're getting to the point now with cost where we're going to see people, like I'll tell you something I can see happening now. Like on a Mopar, when you lift the trunk lid on the left side quarter panel, the lip where the seal is for the trunk lid, about the middle somewhere, they stamped a VIN. Really? To me, that's like the most reliable one to not be changed. The one on the door is not reliable because people can change a door or they paint a car and it's just a sticker. The fender tag's not reliable because it comes off with 2 screws. The dash is not as reliable because even though it's riveted on, they can change a dash. And you can get the rosette rivets from year one.
Yeah, you can buy them on eBay too.
Well, I think the next wave of people who start making fake cars is they're going to start cutting out that section of quarter panel and just butt welding it in and grinding it really carefully and painting it. And now what? So now what are you down to? Well, the radiator core sports, you can bulk that in. So now you're getting down to where there's just how many more? You find one on a frame, it's just going to get really hard to authenticate a car. And the cost of these things make that kind of cheating worth it.
Oh, they're ridiculous right now. I called, I'm trying to get aftermarket or collector car insurance on my car. And man, they're just, the prices on them, what they valued it at, about had a heart attack.
Like, yeah. Well, Blake, even frame rails. I mean, man, I'll tell you, that's getting hard. That's something somebody could change if they really wanted to. I just remember when I was a kid, it was a lot easier. People didn't go to the lengths they did then. Pontiac stamped the VIN in random places per B&R. I don't know how random. Chrysler put it in a lot of places too.
Yeah, Pontiac, some of theirs, like my car doesn't have the VIN in places that some people say they have them.
Yeah.
And and I had a parts car too that I was trying to identify because somebody had taken the cowl tag off of it and everything. I was trying to find a VIN on it somewhere, and I found a partial one on the frame, but you can swap frames, so you don't know.
Well, Colleen's talking about the one under the weather stripping in the trunk. That's what she's talking about. Yeah, Patrick wants to make his 383 Roadrunner an A12 tribute, but he's going to do 520-inch and all of that, which is cool. Yeah, or change the exactly. But Patrick will go out and have a lot of fun with that too. But
Right.
you think twice about with a real A12 car, unless you're my friend Hemi Stan. He goes out and drives his one of 38 Hemi Super B like he stole it. Man, that guy, he's like you only live once.
So yeah, there's some of those cars that I'm like, yeah, I couldn't own that because for one, I can't let a car sit, and there's certain cars that I would not drive because people are idiots.
Yeah. That's the chance you take because no matter how careful you are, you got to share the road full of all kinds of problem people, and you just never know what'll happen.
I mean, you can't replace the time I got in my car. If somebody ran a stop sign and T-boned me, I would not be responsible for my actions from there on out. Just gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah, Family's Garage, they like to run their stuff. I think they just did a transmission in that Super B.
That is a beautiful Super B.
Yeah, it is. Their stuff's nice looking.
So I'm working on a deal. It's my uncle's car. It's a 70 Super B. It hasn't been on the road since 1981 or 82. His brother ran it off the road, knocked a hole in the oil pan, and locked the motor up. It's 446 pack 4-speed car. It's been sitting under a tarp, so it's quite rusty. I'm trying to talk him into at least letting me video it, but I'd like to. He wants to restore it, and I'd like to at least get it running for him.
Yeah.
So
well, they're only original once, and the thing about restored is it's fine and good, but it's not like we don't see lots of examples of nice restored cars.
Right.
So I've embraced over the last few years the only original once, and so if you want to restore a car, that's great. But some cars, it's okay to not worry about restoring at the expense of ever doing anything with them.
There's a guy who has a 69 Trans Am. It's one of like 20, and it's all original, never been restored, and he drives it. And people's like, man, I can't believe you haven't restored that. He said, I wouldn't drive it if I restored it.
I knew a guy that had a 69 Mustang. It was a 429 Boss car. It had 29,000 original miles. He had a shop just right down the road here. He did hydraulic hoses for like heavy equipment, loaders and stuff like that. Called the Hose House. Steve down there. And Steve, he would drive his car. He'd drive it, a few times a month. You'd see it down there in the nice days. But people would tell him if you would just paint it, it would get trophies because it had a nice paint job. But it wasn't perfect, but it was the original paint. Car had never been repainted. So did it have blemishes here and there and stone chips and little, imperfections? Sure it did. But he's like, but I don't want to paint it because then that paint is gone. So this paint was sprayed by somebody in 1969. So he never did paint it. And he resisted his car show friends telling him, you need to paint it. You need to paint it. He's like, no, I don't. But he wound up selling it, and I don't know what the new owner did. I don't have any idea. I don't know where it is or anything.
Original cars are bringing big money.
He has 3 original Boss cars, including that one. He sold one of them. But he also has, and I guess he still has it, he has a 70 Boss. It's yellow, Boss 302. Ooh. And it had 70-some thousand original miles on it. He would drive it occasionally. He may still have that one. He also has an original Boss 429 car that belonged to the Wood brothers.
Really?
He bought it, I believe, from Lynn Wood. It was just a street car, but It was a real boss car. And I remember he went down to Stewart to get it. So it's pretty authentic. He bought it from a Wood brother in person. So it's not like you got to have that authenticated. But
those Boss 9 cars they're they bring big money.
yeah.
And if I was going to have a Mustang, it'd have to be a 69 or 70 Mach 1 anyway, because that's like my favorite Mustang.
I rarely do Ford content on this channel. If anybody wants to see, I'll ask Steve. I'm sure he'd let me do some video of those cars. There's a guy too here locally who has a Hemi Superbird. Really nice car. I've not done any content for that on my channel either, but
There's a guy that comes to the local car shows. I put a video of his car short on it. It's a 426 Hemi automatic car, Belvedere. He restored it, but man, it's a nice car.
You know what? I get that, Blake. I'm sure that every time you take that car out, somebody just assumes you're going to paint it.
Yeah. I had more fun with my car primered than I did. It was because I unloaded it at the track, it looked like a piece of crap. And then I ran a 10-second pass and they're like, oh, okay.
Say hi to Hunter, Sam Mountain Ballistic, Sauter Fiddler slid in here, Alan's Cars and Stuff. So if you're just now getting here, we were promoting Punisher Le Mans Garage. Ray's now crested 1,000 subscribers and well earned. But I saw him make a community post this morning. He was 20 short. And I thought, well, shoot, we can do this before the Pontiac Power Hour, which is coming up here shortly. And I'm actually keeping an eye on the time for you because I know that you like to get in there and conspire with Buff about all the goodness you're going to do on the show.
Well, I was kind of lazy this week, so he got all the content today for the show.
Buff is a worker, man. Buff works hard.
He does, and he is good with that stuff, man. That's where my biggest failure is on YouTube content is editing, and I just get frustrated. I'm like, it's good enough.
Well, we'll be having more content creator workshops this year upcoming. So if you have things that you want to try to do, that's the time to do is getting one of those. One of the co-hosts of the content creator workshops, Blake, is right there. So
I learned a lot from you guys. Actually, I picked up a lot of stuff and helped me get over my 500 thanks to you guys, actually.
Well, yeah, we just want everybody to be able to enjoy the experience together. Buff crawled out from under the Suburban, dropping a transmission to get the Pontiac Power Hour ready. He is hardcore.
Yeah, I called him earlier. And I think he was covering transmission oil. I could practically smell it through the phone.
Well, there's my next projects. Clay's in the house. He's looking forward to the workshops. Yeah, cool, man. We're looking forward to meeting you. I know that you had some things come up, job change, things like that. And couldn't quite make No Name Nationals 2022, but we sure look forward to meeting you this upcoming year. Any updates on the Roach Runner? Yes, but I can't share them yet. I'm working on some stuff. You will. There's one person who knows what I'm. Well, actually, he doesn't really know exactly either. But I got some things in the works.
So are you gonna call out Dalton with the Road Runner?
I've talked about it with Dallas, and there's so much stuff we'd like to do, but I kind of think I'm with him. I think the best thing to do is not to race in your own stuff. Certainly not the first year. We'll see how things are going, but man, we were so busy we couldn't have if we wanted to this last year. So we're gonna have to wait and see. But there are things I want to do, like the Mopars at Farmington. Man, that event's been running for 30 some years. I go most years. It's the second weekend in May in Farmington, North Carolina, which is near Winston-Salem. And yeah, I can see taking the Roach there or Dart Sport or something. But that's probably what I'll do. But the No Name Nationals, that's your stage.
I'm gonna try to hit LS Fest again next year. Take my car this time, and I'd like to go to that. There's a big Pontiac show. I can't remember what it's called. It's a huge one that everybody goes to. I think I'd like to go to that so they can park me back in the back 40 by the fence. I'm thinking as long as I don't pop the hood, though, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know?
I've got some ideas for that. The purist crowd. Look, I get it with cars like we were talking about earlier. The original General Lee. That's a piece of history that I think that a person would hopefully feel some responsibility to preserve, because there were millions of people who could appreciate that car being preserved, and generations who would never get to see it otherwise. To me, that's significant. That's culturally significant. I think a person ought to do that. And if you're not the person, not meaning you, but anybody, if anybody's not the person, that car's worth money. Sell it at a profit to somebody who will. Get enough money out of it to get you a Charger to do whatever you want with. But that's just the way I feel about stuff like that. There's only one like that, right?
Right.
But somebody wants to rescue a rotten four-door from a field and do something, more power to them.
Yeah, and I like car shows, I guess, but to me, having an all original GTO that looks just like the other 50 that's there, that I don't know.
I got to tell you, you go to a place like Carlisle, and there's just acres and acres and acres of cars. And they're nice looking cars with nice paint jobs and correct wheels and correct trim rings and seats and headrests and headliner. And they look really nice, right? But I got to tell you, when there's thousands of them together, they do just start to blend in, and you just start walking past them. Would I walk by a really nice restored 69 Super Bee if I saw it at a gas station? No. But would I walk past it if I saw a whole sea of them at Carlisle? Yeah, especially after 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
To me, I think there's value in. There's a lot of people who have sight with no vision, and why they think they have to have new paint to see something as having value is beyond me.
Yeah.
I have more imagination than that. The people who say to Blake, the Nacho, what color are you going to paint it? Those people right there would never get the significance of that. That car has a cult following. It's very recognizable. If there was a Hall of Fame for YouTube cars, that one is popular enough that it would make sense. And yet, if it had a nice paint job on it, it would start to blend in with everything else.
That car will be forever etched in my memory as it went past me as I tore second gear out of my transmission.
Arthur Fiddler, how can you say there was only one General Lee? No, there's only one Lee 1 with the tag Lee 1. They made 5 General Lees. They did the first 5 episodes with, or they had more than that, but they had 5 of them that were tagged 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the very first one is seen in the credits, the opening credits of the show. I can't think of the name of that college. There's a college there in Georgia where they did a jump with it. That car right there is the car that was found, and it has the first tag. It's the first car built by the studio, Lee number 1. There are about 17 in existence today from the show that are real cars. They're all tagged. They're all in a registry. That's all that are known to exist, and they all command well over $100,000 a piece. Now, there are more than that if you count the ones that came from some of these other later movies, like that one that had Johnny Knoxville and that kind of stuff in it. Those cars, I don't even count those, but I guess they're legitimate as movie cars, but they're not original to the series. There's about 17 authenticated television used General Lee's.
That Johnny Knoxville was in a car museum down in Branson. I seen it a couple weekends ago.
That's where that kind of stuff I could see it. They were all automatic. Most of them are over restored and have much nicer paint jobs now than what they did when they were on TV. Because you could actually, as bad as the video quality was in the late 70s and early 80s, you could tell those paint jobs were really rough, even on TV. I mean, they were bad. Those cars were painted, and if anybody ever painted a car because they passed a cop and had to run home and paint it before they got caught, that's what that paint job would look like when we painted those cars. Like, don't wash them after you paint them, okay? They're that bad.
Smokey and the Bandit's the same way.
Well, now they only went through 3 cars for that, though. That movie.
Yeah, but they pieced it back together so many times that if it had a good side for that view.
Yep. There was nothing left of those cars by the end of that. They went through 3, and I think one of them made it out running. Maybe. I'm not sure exactly, but.
Did you ever see the movie Hooper? It had Burt Reynolds in it. He was a stunt man, and he jumped at Trans Am. It's actually a pretty good. It's got Burt Reynolds in it, and I think it's got. Oh, let's see, who is the other guy? It's got another big name guy in it, and they're rival stunt drivers.
Check that out.
But they had to put a big block Chevy in that Trans Am to get it to go fast enough to jump it. And I remember reading that, and all these Pontiac guys lost their freaking minds over it.
Well, the General Lees, they would put concrete in the trunk so that those things would level out and go through the air properly. Because otherwise they would just nose down and flip end over end. So they put concrete in them. Now, the Fall Guy, rather than just go through hundreds and hundreds of trucks, the Fall Guy got smarter. The trucks already had a good suspension because they're trucks, right? So they built a jump truck for Fall Guy, and they moved the engine back. It was a mid-engine truck just for the stunts. And that thing went through a lot of jumps. It greatly reduced how many trucks. They still went through a lot of trucks, but nothing like the Dukes of Hazzard did.
Most people nowadays don't even know who the Fall Guy is, though.
I'm actually old enough to remember, and you are too, when Chargers were cheap.
Yeah.
They were like the B-body that really people didn't care about. I remember cheap Chargers when I was a kid. People just like, it's a Charger, But now they command a lot more.
Well, second gen Trans Ams is the same way. I bought a black and gold one time for $1,000, and you ain't doing that now.
Badtree's saying, what about the Toyota at the end of Terminator 2? Well, when you said, what about the Toyota? I already know I don't know anything about it. And then we go to at the end of Terminator 2, and I still don't know anything about it. I remember what happened to the Terminator at the end of Terminator 2. Or, well, the liquid metal one.
The only Toyota I know anything about is the one on, what is that? Top Gear, the European one that they tried to kill. I don't know if you ever watched that.
Yeah,
they dropped it off a cliff, all sorts of crap, and it still ran.
Yeah, that was Whistling Diesel dropped one off from a helicopter. Colleen Tebow is telling people that she is slightly more than 25 years old. She paid $250 for a 71 Charger SE. Woo. Oh my gosh. Auteur bought a 68 Charger RT for $800.
You can't even buy the seats for that now.
No, you can't buy the engine for that. Poor Boy's Garage in the house. How you doing, man? The car that gets his heart pumping when he finds him in the woods. Yep. Bradshaw came out and made an impression in Sykeston. Looking forward to seeing what he wants to bring next year. I just got a reminder for you guys in the chat that the Pontiac Power Hour kicks off here in 30 minutes. And we have an automatic redirect from this live if we're still live over here. But I know Punisher, you said that you want to slide out a little early, so you both can get ready for your show. So obviously, this night's all about you. You got your subs, and I wanted you to go into the Pontiac Power Hour with your new 1,000 subscriber base there, and we can hang out over here just until time, because I'm going to go over to the Pontiac Power Hour too, but this will automatically redirect anyway. So either way, if you want to hang out here or go fix a sandwich or something, whatever y'all wanted to chat, want to do, you're welcome to do it. But 29 minutes.
I'm probably going to get off of here because it's on my phone and log into my laptop.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks, John. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody in the chat. I appreciate everybody who subscribed to me and who already is subscribed. I got some good stuff coming, so I'll just keep it coming.
Well, thanks for being on tonight, and glad you got your 1,000, and we're looking forward to more. And I'll be seeing you here shortly.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you. Well, I'm just hanging out at this point, so I can just hang out for no reason with you guys, or if you want to jump in, but we're gonna redirect over to them anyway at 29 minutes. Yeah, Ray's a good dude. He deserves it. Let's see here. Blake bought the movie Red Dawn for $2.50 today. That's cool. I always like finding a good deal on older movies you can get cheap like that. Buff's in the house. What's up, man?
Oh, just prepping for Pontiac Power Hour.
Look at us. I just saw that community post, and I thought, well, that would cool. Let's just see if we can get Ray over the top tonight before his show.
Yep. Yeah, he called me, and I had to crawl out from under the Suburban, covered in oil, to answer the phone. And he was like, "Hey, I'm really close to 1,000, and John's going to try to get me over the top." I'm like, "Well, then you're going to hit 1,000 today. There's no doubt." And what did that take? Like,
I don't know what he has now. I don't know. Back when people were regularly during the No Name 500, I don't know what. So the most we ever got in one live was 75. That was Jure Racing. And the quickest we ever got anybody, I can't remember, but I'm wanting to say that we got about 30 subs in 7 minutes one time.
Wow.
And I want to say we got about 10 or 15 in 2 minutes one time. So, and that's
right after you started, he was really close. And then it took that little bit to get that last 10.
Colleagues saying the dates have not been announced. No, they have not. They've not been finalized either. Dr. Fiddler says duct tape drags from the video look like a fun, friendly event. Well, it may be, but duct tape drags is an event where they hire in the talent, then they sell tickets for everybody else to come pay for it. And the way I compared it to somebody a year ago is I said, that's great. I mean, listen, I have nothing against that event whatsoever, but would you rather go there and be an extra in their movie, or would you rather have a part in ours? And that's exactly how that played out.
No Name Nationals, we were the stars. We didn't have to compete with those 200, 500, or even a million sub channels. So
do you think that Jeremy from Bad Tree would have gotten called out, by Ron Ward himself as the dirty hippie at the duct tape drags?
Not at all.
I don't think that would have happened. Would anybody win an award for twisting a drive shaft in two?
Probably not.
Exactly. So there's nothing wrong with that event. It's just this event, the No Name Nationals, is for us. That's what this event is for.
Yeah, I didn't even get to drag race, and look at all the publicity I got. Look at all the attention I got. It was crazy just for showing up.
Yeah.
And now we've built a nice little community for all the up and comers that are coming for next year.
Yeah, poor boy says it was more important to be there with a car. Well, thing about it though is it was more important just to be there, as
Yeah.
content creators, to be there. And the car was just, I really meant it when I told people that I would rather have the content creators there and the cars will just come with them. But that to me was more important.
Right.
If I had to choose between somebody bringing Buff's car and Buff being there, if I had to choose one, I would choose Buff.
But I mean, look at Jeff from Two Hacks. He couldn't bring his car, but can you imagine doing that without Jeff?
Right, and that's the
thing. He was
thing.
Integral.
Right. So to me, that's the difference. And everybody's got their own niche, what they do, but that to me is what it was about.
Right.
World of Wood Chip. After years of people saying to paint my truck, I painted it the color I wanted, and nobody noticed except my brother. Do it for you and no one else. I agree.
Yeah, I've actually had the opposite. Everyone that sees my car, whether it's online or in person, they always ask, are you going to paint it? Not what color, not when, just are you going to paint it? And the answer is always no. And they said, oh, thank goodness that you're not going to paint it, because that car is perfect. You'd ruin it if you painted it. I'm like, yeah, why would you ever paint this car? It's to me, to some people it may be ugly, but to me, I think it's beautiful just the way it is. I mean, I'd like to knock a little bit of the dust off of it here and there, but for the most part, I think it's perfect. I wouldn't be afraid to put a Pontiac engine in it if I had one, but for what it is right now, I was able to pull it out of the garage today. So,
and that's the nice thing. You could always Pontiac power it later if you want to.
Yep. All the work's been done. All I have to do is drop the new engine in if I get one. I just need more, monetizing to be able to afford that. I do have channel memberships now, so that should be nice.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't. Everybody's got to figure out if they want to try to do memberships. To me, everybody can do what they want to do. Yeah. I've not done it, but
I just did it because there's, waiting for YouTube to actually pay out on monetizing is going to take a while. I know that I got a lot of subs that are really supportive of my channel. They've been buying merch and everything else.
Yep.
So, for a couple bucks a month, they could jump on the membership. And yeah, it's a couple bucks, but if 10 people do it, 20 people do it, before you know it, it's a deal. And Dalton got me on it, because Dalton did a 99-cent one, I think, and he's got well over 100 people doing it. So there's $100 a month right there.
Well, it's it costs to do this content.
Yep.
I mean, it costs time, it costs money. It takes having to work through your good ideas, and it's just, it does.
Anybody that does mechanic work and then they decide to film it, you can take a 20-minute job and it'll last all day just because you're trying to film it.
Yeah, of course. Bad Tree says we set ourselves for the cost of beer. Only have one. He's the best. That's great.
Yeah, everybody has their price.
Ed's Machine did a set of this videos on Just Mopar Joe's heads. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed he did. Ed, I would recommend get Just Mopar Joe in every title of each of those videos, because you don't know which one a person's going to find.
Right.
I saw those today, and I said, I assume those are Joe's heads, but it doesn't say it in the title. You never know when that new person is going to be searching for Just Mopar Joe content and go, oh, check this out. What's this guy doing?
Well, as soon as I get the Suburban up and running again, I'm hoping to get my engine for the all-wheel drive Trans Am headed down to Ed probably around Christmas time. Because I
Yeah.
need that done before, well, probably not before, but shortly after you announce, I want that engine ready to go.
Well, we hope to make an announcement between December 9th and December 31st.
Yeah,
So
somewhere
it's
in
around
there,
the
I'd
corner.
like to head down to Ed.
Let's see here.
Did I see J-Bo?
Hot Turf Fiddler says, we need a series about building a Gen 2 Hemi with stock specs on a budget. Good luck, because
Mhm.
I've very seriously thought about doing a Gen 2 Hemi, and it's an expensive proposition no matter what. No matter what.
I hope you're getting the question.
Here's a great question from Pure Pontiac Garage. Is
Yep.
the subs required going down or up?
You haven't
It
said,
will
right?
not go down.
Yeah, it's not going down.
There's no reason it should go down. In fact, virtually everybody who joins the class this year of whatever this year's equivalent of the No Name 500 is going to be already knew about it last year. So it's not
Right.
like, everybody has a huge head start. And with shorts changing the game, I can see a good, very good reason it should go up.
Yep.
Of course, we do have people who've been spreading rumors saying it's this and that and don't know. But I can tell you right now, don't listen to other people. Listen here. This channel is where you get the actual news.
And it hasn't been announced, so.
No. Andrew
Although
Nelson's in the house. What's up?
you did have a funny set of numbers behind you the other day.
I did, and this was just to tell people what the odds I thought Buck had of beating JB with his supercharger.
Yes.
But I knew if I put this up, people would think it's October 1st. But it's not. That's not what this is. That's 10 to 1.
And now it's on Punisher time, so.
That's it. Now it's on Punisher time. I figured we would put that up to make him feel more at home. Unfinished Project knows that it's either going to be in the first 8 months of the year or a month that ends with R.
Oh, well, I just noticed Ray's knocking at the basement there, so I'm going to head over to
right.
Power Hour. But
Sounds
I'll see you
good.
guys over there.
All right, I'll shut down here shortly and/or redirect. We'll see you, Buff. Well, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up and call it an evening. I've took me a couple extra hours to get functioning today. Maybe mildly under the weather, but I don't have time to be under the weather, so figured we'd go live, work on helping Ray get his subs, and yeah. So anyway, guys, still got a good crowd in here, but I'll go ahead and shut it down. Want to thank the mods. Had a few of them floating around in here tonight. And more good stuff soon. Dallas and Shane and I are going to be at PRI. Clint Street Machines will be at PRI. I've got a few others who may be there too. And we'll be doing something live from there, I'm sure. And more to come. We'll see y'all soon. Don't forget to go over to Pontiac Power Hour here in 15 minutes.